Welcome, and thanks for taking time to learn about the I-5 Rose Quarter Improvements Project closure scheduled for September 11th, 2026. This presentation is designed to help organizations prepare their communities for the closure. We hope this helps you understand the extent of the closure and its impacts. Let's start with the big picture. The Rose Quarter project is trying to address two major goals. The first major goal is to address safety and congestion on this section between I-84 and I-405, which has the highest crash rate on any urban interstate in Oregon and is the state's top traffic bottleneck. The project is adding merging lanes, shown as orange lines in this image, and safety shoulders between I-405 and I-84 to address these safety issues, as well as relocating the southbound off-ramp from Broadway closer to the Moda Center. The second major goal is to reconnect the historically Black Albina neighborhood of Portland, which was severed by the construction of I-5 in the 50s and 60s. The construction of a cover over a portion of I-5 can help connect the neighborhood with another I-5 crossing at Hancock Street, multimodal local street improvements throughout this area, and a pedestrian bike bridge over I-5. The project is currently being built as construction funding becomes available. In 2026, we're currently focused on the following four elements of work: building stormwater facilities where I-5 and I-405 intersect, extending the existing I-5 southbound merging lane that goes between the Moda Center and the I-84 off-ramp near OMSI, upgrading I-5 bridges in the area, which includes structural repairs, surface replacement, and earthquake readiness improvements, and we're adding new signage near the convention center for navigation. Starting September 11th, there will be a major closure on I-5 for structural repairs and surface replacement. The I-5 surface in this area was last replaced in 1985, about 40 years ago, but it has an expected lifespan of about 25 years. The surface is showing its age, and there are an increasing number of ruts, cracks, and potholes from heavy use. It's a busy highway. The longer we wait to complete necessary repairs to the surface of the road, the more likely it is that structural damage will continue to worsen, leading to increased costs and longer closures for repairs in the future. Additionally, the longer we wait to complete this work, the more likely it is that we might experience emergency closures. So if you live in Portland, you might recall that in April of 2024, a hole formed in the I-5 bridge deck. You can actually see this hole pictured on the right, looking up through the deck to the sky. That is not something we want to see. This required us to close all southbound lanes at about 4:45 p.m. with no warning. Travel at this time on I-5 is already rough during the best of conditions, and this closure made things even worse for drivers that day. This is the kind of emergency closure we are hoping to avoid by completing this construction closure now. This table is a very simplified illustration of how we determined what closure approach would be best for this work. Over 3 years, we looked at three options: single lane closures of I-5, weekend closures from Friday nights to Monday mornings, and one continuous closure of all lanes of I-5 southbound 24 hours a day for as long as it takes to complete the work. We evaluated these different schedule options on four metrics: duration, safety, road quality, and cost. In terms of duration, we found that single lane closures would take about 4 months, weekend closures would take almost every weekend all summer long for 2 years, and the continuous closure would take up to 5 weeks. So the continuous closure was overall the shortest option. As far as safety goes, we found that since this section of highway is very narrow, single lane closures would not allow space for a protective barrier to be placed between our construction crew and the traveling public. Without a barrier, our crews would be at risk from live traffic, and traffic would be at risk from demolition activities. So this was not a desirable approach for construction. You might wonder how both single lane closures and weekend closures could result in poorer quality work. Well, with single lane closures, vibrations from traffic in other lanes could impact the new concrete's ability to cure, which would mean that the new concrete surface wouldn't form as strong of a bond, and as a result, it could fail sooner than 25 years. Weekend closures would require us to pour concrete in short segments, creating vulnerable seams between concrete that was poured weeks apart. Those seams introduce opportunities for temperature damage that could also result in early failure. The continuous closure allows us to pour concrete in one single continuous pour, and that provides enough time for the concrete to cure, resulting in the best quality outcome that would last at least the next 25 years. Finally, we found that in terms of cost, the continuous closure was up to $9 million cheaper than the other two options. Therefore, the continuous closure ended up being our best option. The closure is scheduled to begin on Friday, September 11th, but this may still change pending various construction factors and weather. This closure will be at all hours of the day and may last up to 5 weeks. All lanes of I-5 southbound will be closed, but I-5 northbound will remain open at all times. We will reopen the highway as soon as work is complete. In the map on the right, you can see some more information about the closure and detours and lanes that would still be available to you during that 5-week stretch. All lanes of I-5 will be closed between I-405 to I-84, but there will be a lane maintained where I-5 splits with I-405 down to the Broadway off-ramp. This would provide access to the Rose Quarter, the Moda Center, and the Oregon Convention Center. On-ramps from Greeley Avenue, I-405 northbound, and Moda Center will be closed, and the off-ramp to I-84 will also be closed. Access from I-84 coming westbound would be maintained. Regional traffic will be detoured to I-205, and local traffic looking to travel through downtown or trying to get to I-84 eastbound will be detoured to I-405. We will be encouraging all drivers to avoid the area, use alternate routes and modes when possible, and to consider traveling during off-peak times. Based on modeling done by our traffic team, if no one were to change their trip during this closure, we could expect to see congestion that extends into Washington, travel times up to 3 times longer than usual, I-405, which is already near its max capacity, at or over its capacity for travelers, and increased traffic on local streets. So think Moda Center event traffic most hours of the day, every day. However, the more people are able to choose alternate modes of travel like transit and carpool or to adjust their travel timing, the better the system will work for those who do not have that flexibility. During this closure, our mitigation efforts will focus on clearing incidents quickly, and we're looking at opportunities to smooth traffic flow with signal adjustments. We'll be using our existing electronic signs along with additional temporary signs around the region and in Southwest Washington to inform drivers region-wide about what's going on. By letting affected communities know about the closures, we really hope to reduce demand in the construction area. One of the best strategies we have to reduce congestion is to just share information about the closure with the community in advance. The more people adjust their travel patterns, the better the road will function for those who can't change their trip during the closure, like emergency responders, mobility impaired travelers, service workers, and freight truck drivers. The Rose Quarter communications team has been working since summer 2025 to notify as many people as possible about the closure in advance. The team has briefed elected officials, agencies, businesses, and industry leaders about the closure. We're sharing information out on our website with the media in newsletters, in the mail, at local events, and distributing alerts via email and text message. We're also advertising on social media, in print, on the radio, and online, and we're sending you this briefing PowerPoint to listen to today. However, we know that with the closure of this size, our small team can't reach everyone who needs to know. So that's why we need your help. We've created a communications toolkit with fact sheets, talking points, sample language for newsletters and social media posts, and graphics like the one pictured here on the right to help you share information with your communities about the closure. Visit our website, it's i5rosequarter.org/toolkit to get all of these resources to use for yourself. And with that, thank you for listening to our presentation. You can find more information about the Rose Quarter project on our website. You can use that QR code at the top right to get there. And you can email or call us with any questions. We really look forward to hearing from you. Thanks again.